Stugotz here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love a good gummy. Whether I'm on the golf course or winding down after a long day of carrying the show on my back, all I need is one good gummy to help me totally relax. And now, thanks to my good friends at CBDMD, getting Delta 9 THC gummies shipped directly to your door is not only possible, it's easy and affordable. How about that? Every CBDMD Delta 9 gummy is packed with 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, and let me tell you, buddy, they work. CBDMD also has Delta 9 microdose capsules that feature 1 milligram of THC, so it's easy to enjoy them whenever, wherever. And listen, I know it's easy to get confused with all the different Deltas out there, but Delta 9 THC is the same good old-fashioned THC we've all known and loved for years. To learn more about Delta 9 and everything else CBDMD has to offer, just head to cbdmd.com/Dan. Once again, that's cbdmd.com/Dan for information, education, and the best damn gummies you've ever had. Must be 21 years or older to purchase Delta 9.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
We are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code Dan for a special offer when you sign up. That's code Dan, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
There is so much ground to cover. I'm a little confused here. We got popular Dolphins. These lists are pretty terrible so far.
We've got unpopular Dolphins.
Yeah.
We've got we do have least popular Dolphins as well. Number 4, Billy. Number 4 most popular Dolphin of all time.
Larry Zonka.
Zonk.
Number 4, Stugotz.
Zach Thomas.
The white linebacker crushes in this category.
I
Number 4, Mike Ryan.
I also have Larry Zonka.
There you go.
The reason we started this.
I told you.
Well, that's
pretty high up for a guy that you guys were like, no one under the age of 18 knows who that is.
Yep. Thank you, Jess.
As I said, these lists are terrible. Number 3.
We don't have anybody under the age of 18 here, though. We're all washed.
Miko Grimes.
Miko Grimes.
What?
That would be unpopular.
She was on my other list.
No.
No, she had her moment. Didn't she have a show?
Billy, this is only your list because you love
Well, it's
anarchy.
my list.
Yes,
Yeah, you have to be my top 10.
You loved her because, as the wife of Brent Grimes, she was very opinionated.
She was more popular than her husband in Dolphin history.
No doubt.
Yes or no?
Brent Grimes had a period where he was really good. He was number one corner.
Brent Grimes
but not popular.
Brent Grimes was only polarizing because of his wife.
Number of press conferences where he just kind of meekly looks down and goes, well, you know.
What a great time. How is this just number 3 for you, Billy?
Lots
you loved
of names.
her so much.
Yeah.
Number 3, Mike Ryan.
Jason Taylor.
Wow, JT.
Number 3, Stugotz.
Nick Bonaconti.
More white linebackers.
Yeah, right up there with Bobby Offerdahl. I mean,
Billy. Bob Offerdahl is what you called him, Mike. Bob Offerdahl. Bob's Bagels.
Breakfast sandwich Offerdahl.
Billy, number 3.
Number 2, Dan Marino.
Really?
there he is.
I'm sorry, Miko Grimes was number 3. Dan Marino, number 2.
Yeah.
It's a crazy list.
Dan the man.
Stugotz, number 2.
Mike Golick. It was a cup of coffee, but it was a great cup of coffee, I'm telling you. Golick had some big moments for the Dolphins. Everyone loves a Golick.
He did not have some big moments.
Yes, he did.
He had no big moments for the Dolphins. 0 big moments.
Delicious
cup
of coffee, Dan.
Yeah.
Number 2,
That's
Mike.
actually Offerdahl. Number 2,
Bobby Bagels.
Don Shula.
Bobby Bagels.
Mike Ryan, what is your number 1 South Florida ballsy blockbuster trade?
Number 1, ballsy South Florida sports trade is we're living in a historical moment right now. It's a Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar prospect, first-round draft pick.
Prisoner of the moment.
No, it is that ballsy.
They got a great player,
This is a team that won the President's Trophy. They just
but they
traded.
lost in the second round.
They got a great player who did not have the season that the player they traded just had.
But he's 5 years younger.
I understand all of that. Matthew Tkachuk has a very high ceiling. This is gutsy for them to do, and it is totally unpopular, which adds to the balls of it. That's why it's my number one.
All right.
Gary Sheffield was outside looking in. Marlins trade.
A fire sell is not ballsy because everyone sees it coming.
No, when they got him.
Oh, when they got him?
When they got him.
Not too ballsy.
I mean, is he going to go in? Well, if he goes in, isn't he going to go in as a Marlin?
No.
He's not going to go in.
He wants to, but that doesn't mean that he will.
But I associate him with the Marlins. He played for 8 teams, but they got his prime. The Marlins got his prime.
Actually, if you look at the numbers, other teams got his prime. And I think part of the problem is his prime happened well after it should have. It didn't really make a lot of sense to some folks, and that's what he's getting hit with. What do you mean? Did he have his best season with the Braves?
He might have been with the Yankees or the Padres. He was so good for so long. Regardless, does not qualify, does not make the top 5. We've got to get to least popular Dolphins. So, Stugotz, your number 1 most popular. Are we on number 1 with you? Number one,
yeah.
Most popular Dolphin ever is right after Golick.
His best season was with the Dodgers, by the way. Number 1 on my list, right after Mike Golick, is Dan Marino. Dan the man. What happened?
This started because you said Larry Zonko was the most popular Dolphin. Is he on your list?
And then I started thinking about it. That was then. This is now. I mean, Zonk no longer on the list.
I think it started with Dan arguing that Xavier Howard was a top 10.
He's not on any of these lists.
He's not in your top 10?
I had him as the most popular. I realize this is confusing, but Mikey, Mike threw in Bobby Bagels. I forgot about, Chad Pennington. I left out David Woodley.
Your list
He led them to a Super Bowl, Woodley.
It happens, yeah.
Your list is truly terrible.
Seffy, Jimmy Cephalo.
Mike Ryan, number 1. Your number 1
Dan the man.
And Billy
Flipper.
He's right.
Mike Ryan's top 5 least popular Dolphins of all time.
Oh, first off, let me get to my OLI. Chris Whittingham, can you turn on your microphone for my OLI? Just want to see something.
There should be a trigger warning associated with this segment.
Yeah, like an epilepsy warning before YouTube videos. If you're a passionate Dolphin fan, this list will trigger you.
And so you're saying, like, every once in a while, I don't know when this started, but these shows either put, if you're a trauma victim, you got to be careful with some trauma, but also there are some things with lights and lighting that they're telling me
epilepsy
before, is that all they're warning me on though? Is that only epileptic fits? Because I did not.
Where I see it most, if you watch a video on YouTube, if you watch a music video, they'll come with them.
Or if you're a Red Sox outfielder.
The sky needs to be investigated.
Yeah.
All right. So OLI.
They're looking into it. The Boston Herald.
Before we get into the top 5 least popular Miami Dolphins of all time, OLI. We're gonna go with Jamar Fletcher.
Oh, Fletch.
We're gonna go with Mark Colombo.
Oh,
nice.
We're gonna go with Ted Ginn.
Oh,
really?
Wow. I had a moment where I liked Ted Ginn.
Yeah. No, you didn't.
We're gonna go with David Boston.
Nope. Christ.
We're gonna go with John Avery.
Oh, because he could have been Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's the one that
We're gonna
hurts.
go with Miko Grimes. I know it's in direct conflict with your list.
Crazy.
We're gonna go with Jay Fiedler.
No way.
I think people like Jay, Mike.
We're gonna go with Jay Cutler.
No one liked it.
Jay Cutler had his moment.
We're gonna go with AJ Feely. We're gonna go with Dave Wanstedt.
Wow. Why are we doing this?
We're gonna go with Pat White.
Oh yes.
Oh, my
White's a good one. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that one time you were back in Atlanta and tried to throw a deep bomb and threw it out of the stadium. It was the
great.
roof of the Georgia Dome.
We're gonna go with Cleo Lemon.
Had a cannon, though. I mean, what?
Chooch.
We're gonna go with
stadium.
John Beck.
Oh, my God. There aren't enough offensive coordinators on this list.
All of them.
Chan Gailey, many times.
Both times with Chan Gailey.
Dan Henning.
Oh, Jesse Davis.
Body blow.
Austin Jackson.
Forgot Dan Campbell.
Joe Nedney.
You are now flogging Dolphin fans. Yes, he missed so many.
All right, here we go. Now, number 5.
All right.
Ryan Tannehill.
Good shout.
Number 4.
I have a number 5.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Go for it.
Cecil Collins.
Number 4, Mike.
Jason Allen.
Oh my God. A Nick Saban Memorial SEC pick.
Who could they have? Was it? That was Saban, not Wanstead? I thought that was the last pick of Wanstead.
That was when Nick Saban was doing nothing but taking guys that he coached against in the SEC.
Number
Awful.
4, Stugotz.
Yatil Green.
Was he taken instead of somebody?
Yatil?
No, not yours. No.
I'm looking.
Jason Allen was picked 15th.
Yeah, he went 3 picks later. Antonio Cromartie went.
There was a corner. I'm mixing him up with a corner that Wanstead took 23rd.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry.
mixed him up with
Jamar
Jamar
Fletcher.
Fletcher.
Jamar
Who started
Fletcher,
off for OLI.
Yeah.
That was a Drew Brees, could have been.
Number 3.
Couple of those for Dolphins history.
Or Reggie Wayne.
Yep.
The could have beens is part of it, correct? John Avery.
That's what's happening with John Avery.
Yeah.
That's the only thing happening with John Avery.
Well, that and the lack of success on the field.
Yeah.
Number 3.
I mean, who could forget? He missed a big field goal in the Super Bowl. Ray Finkel.
Jimmy Johnson said to my face, master talent evaluator, why it is that Avery was the right pick over Randy Moss.
What were the reasons?
Said it to my face.
Did he give
Just
you reasons?
super quick. He's going to be, you're not going to believe what a star this John Avery's going to be.
To his credit, he did turn out to be a stand-up comedian, so multi-talented.
Do you mock Jimmy about it, or
Oh,
you would
yes.
dare? You do?
No!
Dangerous game. I mean,
Yeah, go to his beach house and remind him. Remember when you thought Avery was
I
better?
totally would.
You got this guest house back here where Gene Hackman stays, and the San Antonio Spurs come and fly in because they want your expertise on talent evaluation. And you said to my face, I remember the smell of chips on your breath when you told me that John Avery was better than Randy Moss. Swagger, written by Dave Hyde, in bookstores now. Number 3, Mike.
He missed a field goal in the Super Bowl. Ray Finkel.
Oh, sorry.
oh yeah.
You already said that. Number 3. It's not a fine. Number 3, Stugotz.
Ted Ginn Jr.
Number 2, Mike.
Ricky Williams.
Yes.
Made both of your lists, didn't he?
Yeah.
Number 2.
Larry Zonka.
That's not.
Zonk.
That's not.
You were right the first time, Dan.
He did flip people off in that issue of Sports Illustrated. Very divisive move.
Number 1, Mike.
Nick Saban.
Oh, yeah. History makes Dolphins the losers on that one, huh?
I have never seen a town hate anyone.
Wanstead
Maybe
didn't even
outside of-
make your list.
No, he was on my OLI.
Yep.
I mean, there goes Bartman in Chicago and Nick Saban in South Florida.
There's still the residual effects of that whenever I see his face. 16 years later, like, I still kind of recognize, it's probably going to happen anyway, and he's great at college coaching, and it's sort of, you can't really argue with his legacy, but I know most people hate Nick Saban, but I especially hate Nick Saban. I just see his
Move
face.
on.
I just think of what
I'd
a
embrace it.
giant liar and fraud he was in the year of our Lord 2006.
So what?
16 years ago.
Nah.
Looked into the camera and said, I'm not going to be the Alabama head coach.
Not surprising that Stugotz would reward
come on.
the reward.
He's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches ever, and on that old resume is going to be he worked for the Dolphins. Should be a sense of pride.
It's
yeah.
Dr. Cannell's fault. In fact, he should be number 1 on my
Exactly.
list right now.
Who is number 1 on your list?
It was Kim Bocamper, but now I'm going Dr. Cannell. I mean, how about that?
Why Kim Bocamper?
He cost him a Super Bowl, Dan. Dropped an interception, Jeff Theismann. Remember?
Oh, he betrayed you in
Yes.
negotiations is what
Well,
happened.
that too, yeah.
He told you he was signing with you and then just lied to your face. He outlied you, and so he's number
He
1
did.
on your list because you hate him because
Yeah.
he outlied you.
He pulled the old Saban. I mean, he really did.
How did those negotiations go?
Not well.
Was he
I mean,
locked in?
He had all the leverage. I mean,
did you lock
and
him
the
in?
biggest thighs and forearms I've ever seen in my life. Stugotz here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love a good gummy. Whether I'm on the golf course or winding down after a long day of carrying the show on my back, all I need is one good gummy to help me totally relax. And now, thanks to my good friends at CBDMD, getting Delta 9 THC gummies shipped directly to your door is not only possible, it's easy and affordable. How about that? Every CBDMD Delta 9 gummy is packed with 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, and let me tell you, buddy, they work. CBDMD also has Delta 9 microdose capsules that feature 1 milligram of THC, so it's easy to enjoy them whenever, wherever. And listen, I know it's easy to get confused with all the different Deltas out there, but Delta 9 THC is the same good old-fashioned THC we've all known and loved for years. To learn more about Delta 9 and everything else CBDMD has to offer, just head to cbdmd.com/Dan. Once again, that's cbdmd.com/Dan for information, education, and the best damn gummies you've ever had. Must be 21 years or older to purchase Delta 9.
Dan Le Batard.
Sports!
Stugotz.
More sports!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Sean just dropped a bit of news on his Twitter account that Triple H is assuming all of the creative responsibilities left behind by Vince McMahon.
Well, let's start there then with Sean Ross Sapp. He is of Fightful.com, and he has done reporting that we have not. I thought Vince McMahon was going to survive everything. And I'm assuming, but do not know, that Vince McMahon just leapt reluctantly from a burning building because there was no other choice. So it's framed as retirement, but these sex scandals were climbing on him. I'm making assumptions that aren't terribly informed. Sean Ross Sapp has done the reporting, and Mike Ryan just told you there is now news in the world of wrestling. This is all very seismic, right, Sean? Thank you for joining us, by the way.
I appreciate you having me. It is very seismic. I can tell you within the pro wrestling world, it's absolutely seismic because since the day that wrestling stopped being regional and hit cable TV and became a global thing, Vince McMahon has been at the forefront of that. And very few times in that history has anybody else even been neck and neck, let alone running his company. So this is a major deal that's going to have some pretty significant ramifications for that company.
I did not think anything could climb up and grab McMahon. So what are we talking about here is going to come out shortly with additional reporting, allegations, crimes, what's going, because already it seems like he had weathered accusations of crimes. That was, and accusations of crimes against women. And yes. I thought once he weathered those, he would weather all of them in the age of shamelessness. Why wasn't he able to?
Well, he's also, it's sort of that double-edged sword for him. It's the age of shamelessness, but it's also that age of where news can be spread. It's far more easy than when he had rape allegations in the early 1990s or, the steroid trial even, which was huge. And then allegations in the mid-2010s. I think the Wall Street Journal did a great job of reporting a lot of this about the NDAs and things associated with physical relationships within his office. But when you look at it, I know that they're working on other stories. For sure, they're working on other stories because I've spoken to former wrestlers, talent that have been reached out to for those stories. But he was very defiant the day the story first came out in putting himself on television like against other people's wishes. And then he kept on doing it repeatedly. A guy who had barely been on television for the last couple of years just all of a sudden pops up to say, welcome to Friday Night SmackDown. Welcome to Raw. Here's John Cena, like just obnoxiously throwing himself on TV. So I and other talent in the company are of the belief that something else has got to be coming, or that board investigation that kicked off in April kind of secretly may have uncovered something or pressured him out.
HBO Real Sports is investigating. He's left a trail of people physically broken who I'm sure would love to be on camera telling you the truth finally about how Vince McMahon ran that operation. So, Sean, you're an expert. How did he run that operation?
Well, I won't say that it was like an open type of thing that Vince McMahon had done this stuff and signed these NDAs. There were like some jokes backstage Like among the writing team, if he was late, somebody would say, oh, well, he must be with so-and-so. So there were some assumptions, but I don't know if there were people outright in the company that were like, yeah, well, we know that he's doing this. I know his top talent didn't know. They were floored by some of this stuff, despite the on-screen persona and sort of the brash demeanor that he has. I can tell you that the talent also had no idea that he was retiring, to the point to where one of them briefly walked out. Brock Lesnar briefly walked out ahead of last Friday's show and came back. So there are so many different moving parts, from a guy that a lot of people view as the person to give them their opportunity and to present wrestling in this light that it is currently, to this guy probably shouldn't put himself on TV. He shouldn't be acting like this. He shouldn't be so boisterous with allegations like this, because it doesn't seem like he was taking them seriously whatsoever.
So I can explain to the audience, Sean, why it is this is such seismic news. I can make the argument, could I not, that Vince McMahon is the biggest figure in the history of professional wrestling, right up there with Hulk Hogan and anyone you care to mention. Legacy, icon, built the sport.
You could absolutely make that argument. I think that Hogan and Vince needed each other to become what wrestling is. Yeah.
And so that guy going down and initially doing so with bravado and defiance, you can't touch me, but he's got a publicly selling company, this is all about that, correct? He'd still be in charge, would he not, if we weren't trying to, put the value in a place that would make Vince McMahon retire eventually anyway?
Oh, 100%. And when I got the news, the first thing I did was reach out to WWE and say, clarify, this is not a storyline. This guy blew himself up in a limo at one point, and the only reason that the death angle didn't continue was because a horrible tragedy happened the week following. There are people within the company that don't fully believe that he will be divested in the company, that he will still be involved in creative. The business end of that, most people assume that he's stepping away. They've got Nick Khan there. Nick Khan's got a wonderful track record of handling a lot of things like that. But from a creative aspect, that's what Vince McMahon has had a stranglehold specifically on. And everybody thought that it would take him being dead before that would ever subside.
What does it mean that Triple H allegedly would take over creative from Vince?
Well, it's shocking for one. I mean, WWE had a sub-brand, NXT, that started as their developmental, sort of their minor leagues. And he ran it, and he did such a good job with it that it got a cable TV deal. It started to sell out arenas, and it did well on its own, but they very much disassembled his vision of that. So WWE had really established that his vision of creative and hiring talent and all that wasn't what they wanted moving forward. So him being back in this role is surprising to a lot of people, but also exciting to a lot of people because it's something we haven't seen to this level before.
Sean, his legacy will be what?
Oh, man. Well, for some people that put their blinders on, it'll be the guy that made pro wrestling as we know it today. For people who don't have blinders on, it will be this. It will be a guy who started WWE, whose exit was mired with controversy. And really, you could say the entire thing was mired with controversy, from, concussions and steroids. And again, the allegations that are at play, that will exist in a lot of people's mind. I think especially younger people's mind as well, that aren't so attached to the Hulk Hogan, the Rock, the Steve Austin, and didn't grow up with that and romanticize it nearly as much.
Sean, for those who do not know, Vince McMahon, in my childhood, he introduced me to this sport as the sideline announcer before Gene Okerlund, as I couldn't believe that USA Network, cable television, beyond the networks, had good wrestling matches as opposed to the crap that I was watching on Saturday. And then he builds the entirety of the sport. But Sean, can you tell us the worst of what he presided over? Because I don't know if the audience knows exactly how despicable the core of this sport was.
Well, the Nancy Argentino allegations were probably the worst, but that we've come to learn more about Jimmy Superfly Snuka and that type of situation. And the allegations that Vince McMahon had a part in covering that up, making sure that wasn't out there.
For the audience that does not know, Jimmy Snuka accused of murder, like covering up a murder is what you're talking about there.
Yes. And that seems to be, to me, that's probably the worst, but there are so many like miniature elements of that. And there was a horrible like bullying culture and hazing culture for a while as well that just existed and was commonplace to the point to where you will hear old timers come back and say, "Oh, these guys are back here playing video games, not when men were men and they hazed each other and bullied each other." And that's a culture that they kind of cultivated. And there are allegations that Ashley Massaro, who was taken from us far too soon, was sexually assaulted overseas on a WWE tour of the military and was asked to not come forward about it. Like that's pretty horrible stuff from early in the 80s all the way up until now.
Sean, I heard you on your podcast talking about how the face of WWE will now change, both in terms of what they prioritize and the culture and some of the other executives. How unrecognizable do you think the product will be in 6 months, a year's time, because Vince McMahon is no longer around?
So I had heard originally that they had planned to still filter some stuff through Vince McMahon as he transitions out and people transition in and whatnot. And that's a big fear too. Some of the talent says, "I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I don't see his fingerprints, his palm prints all over what we do on Mondays and Fridays." So it's hard to tell now. I think tonight will actually, or I don't know when you all are dropping this, but tonight will be a pretty good indicator. Triple H's first night in that role, so to speak. But I mean, it could change significantly because WWE's creative period has really brought upon its own competition because it was so creatively dissatisfying for a lot of their top talent and led them elsewhere. They sort of caused the creation of their own competition in ways, I would say.
Sean, WWE, I think because of the public nature of their company, was forced to do things that they certainly wouldn't have done and have shown in their history that they wouldn't have done when they were private. Part of the optics within that board was that Stephanie was taking time away from WWE. Triple H just had a very scary health scare. His power over NXT was kind of stripped away from him, and he was just a figurehead there, but didn't really have an actual job. Now these people almost overnight go from divesting themselves somewhat from that corporate culture to running it. How confused is talent by this, and how is it going to work?
Well, talent that I speak to is primarily excited because they adore Triple H. They adore Stephanie McMahon. You got to remember, a lot of this talent did come from that sub-brand that I mentioned earlier. So he hired a lot of these people. Now, there was also a whole lot of people that he hired and had big plans for that Vince saw and said, "No, we don't have anything for them. They're gone." Shocked? Yeah, I think talent's pretty shocked because 3 weeks ago there was a talent meeting before one of their pay-per-views where they said, Vince McMahon is here. He's here to stay. He's not going anywhere. So I would say that talent is pretty surprised, at least on that end. Plus, nobody expected Vince to actually step down from creative, if anything. If he retained one thing, it wouldn't be the superficial chairman, CEO title that he's held in recent years. It would have been creative.
He's not going to be able to keep it quiet, though. It's coming. Whatever it is coming. Like, he knows it's coming because he just got pushed to the edge of a... If they were that resolute and he's not going anywhere and the talent is shocked, and we know the history of defiance there. Like, there is something out there that someone has not yet reported where they've got him cornered. It seems obvious. It seems like... what are the chances of me being wrong about that?
I mean, I don't think... I mean, I think there's probably something out there. If this is the stuff we know, what's the stuff we don't know? And I know a lot of people are like, well, why didn't wrestling media hear about this? Because we have seen, unfortunately, cases where we will report things like this and it gets swept under the rug because Vince is like, who cares? When it's the Wall Street Journal, it's a little bit different, but still you have him trying to sweep it under the rug, right? Like, he's still... I mean, I can't curse on this show, but I mean, I'm told that when he went through the curtain...
You can curse on this show.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So I was told that when he went through the curtain after his first SmackDown appearance, he screamed, "Come!" Like that's how defiant he was.
It's unbelievable.
That's the curse word we can't use, Sean. I'm sorry.
That's the one we can't use. I gave you permission, and now it all got ruined. Sean, thank you for being on with us. Fightful.com. Anything that the audience needs to know that we did not ask you about? Any obvious future changes that wrestling fans would care about because it's about to change?
A lot is about to change, but depending on how much, again, he takes his fingerprints off the product will remain to be seen. But there are a lot of changes. And honestly, the leadership that's in place now, the people that I talk to within the company really like those people, and they're actually pretty excited for it. So that's some positive news in that regard.
Sean, thank you for being on with us, sir. Thank you for the time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Sean.
Hey, thank you all so much. Let me know if y'all need anything.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
Most popular Dolphins, if you have it.
See ya.
When you shop at Walmart, you get it. Spend a little less on dorm must-haves.
8 a.m. class, 8 ounces of caffeine.
A room that finally feels just like home. And create a space that's a little more you. With bedding from $5 and appliances from $9. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Dan Le Batard.
That bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Stugotz.
Walk to the ocean.
What?
Walk to the ocean.
I really have no money.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I'll do the show without you.
I don't like.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Jerry West was in the news this weekend, Stugotz, on a couple of fronts. And I do love that Jerry West is getting a new time to shine late in life.
What did J.J. Redick say now?
Well, there are two things that were funny involving Jerry West. Jerry West, if you do not know, is the logo. Jerry West is one of the best basketball players ever. In Winning Time, the Adam McKay thing on HBO, Jerry West is portrayed in a way that is volatile and hostile, and he has said this depiction is bothersome to him and that he will take it all the way to the Supreme Court, not understanding how it is that the Supreme Court works. But given what's happening these days, I don't understand how the Supreme Court works. So Jerry West is going back at J.J. Redick, and he did it so well, Stugotz. But before I get to that story, Shaquille O'Neal told the story. Who is that kid interviewer who's no longer a kid interviewer? Graham Bissinger? He's interviewing Shaquille O'Neal, and Shaquille O'Neal tells the story of being enraged after losing in the finals and tearing up toilets in the locker room and tearing up urinals in the locker room, and that Jerry West came in. Now, I don't know what's true here, Stugotz, because there were a couple of different stories told this weekend. Udonis Haslem told one of them. And Shaq says that Jerry West came in and grabbed him by the neck in a way that made Shaq tippy-toe on a wall. Like made him tippy-toe, raised up Shaq by the neck, holding him by the throat. That sounds like an exaggeration, given that Udonis Haslem just said that he got in between a fight with Pat Riley and Shaq one time, and he had never been thrown that far in his life. He felt like a child being thrown by Shaquille O'Neal and Udonis Haslem.
You meant Riley.
What's true there? Is there anything true in these two stories? Udonis Haslem says Shaq is so strong that he threw Udonis Haslem several feet by just saying, "Get out of here," with his left arm, because he's that strong. And Jerry West came into a locker room and held Shaquille O'Neal by the neck. Shaq's exaggerating there, correct?
I find that impossible to believe when you just think about it visually, just how big Shaq is. I'm not saying Jerry West is small. He played in the NBA. He's 6'5". But it's Shaquille O'Neal. Like, there's no way that Jerry West, of all people, did that to Shaq. There is no way. I can't see another center doing that to Shaq.
Another human being.
Anyone.
Maybe Yao Ming.
Right.
But the other story
is an actual story. And Billy was spot on because it's because of J.J. Redick saying that Bob Cousy was guarded by plumbers and firemen when he played in the NBA.
It's
and
always
Jerry West
Redick,
is mad and saying it's disrespectful and doing basically what Jerry West of Winning Time would do, which is then go and kind of argue back. But I don't get why Jerry West isn't just embracing that he's kind of popular again. even though he's popular for being an asshole on this TV show, but like this is a really great renaissance for him late in his career to just be like, yeah, guess what? I'm just going to be the asshole guy now, and I'm going to stay in the headlines.
You say renaissance, but this was not just the logo of the NBA. As an executive, he is viewed as a Hall of Fame executive who doesn't think that his past is in his past. Like, this dude has been a kingmaker in the NBA who doesn't need this show to depict him poorly to still be a legend who's excellent in his 70s at what he does.
Stop complaining about the depictions of you. You're Jerry West. Like, just... yeah, so what? I was a badass.
But you're saying the Chris Cody thing that any pub is good pub. This is negative pub for Jerry West. I mean, people are questioning his greatness.
Saying it's negative pub. Own it. Turn it into good pub.
But he says it's not true. He says that his depiction as a rage monster cursing and breaking things, he wants to be seen as the golden executive who's a symbol for the league. He doesn't want to be seen
because that's what the standard was 50 years ago. You wanted to be the golden executive. Now, younger people like when you're kind of an asshole. They like when you're a badass. They like when you kind of buck the norm and you're kind of like, you got an edge to you. And if he wants to appeal to younger NBA fans, he should just own it. Yeah, guess what? I threw my Larry O'Brien trophy through a window once because I was pissed off because Jerry Buss did something annoying. So what? I wanted to draft Larry Bird. I'm Jerry West. You didn't even know who I was 10 years ago, 18-year-old whippersnappers.
But that's the thing. I don't think Jerry West has any time for the likes and dislikes of young people.
Yeah, he doesn't care about young people.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
well, that's because he's not owning this moment well. I'm telling you, he should care about them.
Right. You should get him a TikTok. Oh, could you imagine Jerry West on TikTok?
That's a great idea, Billy.
Thank you. I'm full of them today.
Even like Kevin Durant is 34, and he seemed like an old man on TikTok. Like, how do I...
Well, I thought that was a joke. I thought he wasn't doing that on purpose.
That wasn't a joke.
That wasn't a joke. He doesn't know how to work TikTok.
Let's get you on TikTok and see if you can figure out how to publish a single video. And
I don't know how to publish video. Like do like in a TikTok style where there's like narration and subtitles and all this stuff. Like there's a whole method.
Narration.
What?
Narration.
I mean, you can say it narration.
I trust you, Woody.
I'm not disputing you. I didn't object to it. I thought he was putting his own flourish on narration. I didn't think his was the correct way and mine is the wrong way.
Jerry West is finally relevant again, right?
No, wait a minute. Don't do that. That's not young people don't get to decide that.
I didn't think about Jerry West for the first 27 years of my life until Winning Time came out. And then I finally thought about him. And now I'm still thinking about him because I thought he was a great character. He should own it. People liked that character. He was an asshole that everyone kind of liked. You're kind of rooting for him.
Stugotz is right. The young people get to decide as they throw stuff at Kid Cudi and run him off the stage because young people get to decide.
I don't know how old those people were. Kid Cudi fans are probably in their 30s.
I'm guessing that young people get to decide whether Jerry West, the logo, is popular to their discernment. But here he was. Here's the sound.
It's unfair.
He comes after JJ Redick so well. Who do I have to courtesy on the sound here?
Sirius XM NBA radio.
Obviously, the game is completely different. The athletes are completely different. And I know JJ just a little bit. He's a very smart kid and everything. But tell me what his career looked like. What did he do that determined games? He averaged 12 points a game in the league? Somewhere along the way, numbers count. At that point in time, the players aren't what they used to be. JJ certainly wasn't going to guard the elite players. And so you can nitpick anyone. And I'm not, the only reason I'm talking about him is because he was not an elite player, but he was a very good player. But he had a place on the team because of his ability to shoot the ball. JJ should be very thankful that he's made as much money as he's made. And Bob Cousy, who I played against a couple of years, not very long, I just think it's very disrespectful myself.
I love as an insult. Love as an insult. What did he do that determined games?
It's the best.
Because I'm
nice kid though.
But I'm going through my head though, and I'm like, well, what do I remember? What are the shots that I remember? What did he do? Like he's basically saying, you're a guy who just ran around out there.
And shot open threes.
It's
right.
so dismissive. It's as dismissive. I didn't think somebody...
Respectfully, though, because he could have just said, who the is he?
Exactly, and that's what he should have done. Dig your heels in, Jerry.
But Jerry's all, he's all
Jerry
about
Bear.
class, Hey, listen, I know him. He's a
Class,
nice kid,
mass.
but what has he ever done? I mean, that's a good job by Jerry.
What did he do that determined games?
What did Jerry West do? Most people under the age of 30 probably couldn't tell you.
He's the logo.
Won 2 titles.
Right.
Former league
cool.
MVP.
But that logo that you look at all the time, that's him. It's Jerry West.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. What else did he do? I don't care. How many followers does he have?
This is
his handle.
She gets to decide. She gets to decide. That's how that one works with popularity, and it just hurts me so much that popularity and clicks and likes are the way that this.
That's the game now, Dan.
Jerry West has to fight in that game. When I legitimately thought that
can't win that game.
Kevin Durant on TikTok, I thought, man, that's funny that he would do that. But if it's not self-aware, I guess it's even funnier that he would do that. But I thought he was doing it as a joke.
Is that going to be JJ's response? How many followers do you have, Jerry West?
No, because JJ Redick is in like the medium age, like the medium generation of millennials, where he's kind of like the mainstream voice, but he's a little older than the Gen Zers. The Gen Zers are the ones who are like, okay, like I'll listen to JJ Redick, but I don't give a shit what Jerry West says.
Harsh. I enjoyed, by the way, so that clip was longer.
Right.
One of the bits that I
okay?
cut out was Jerry West basically
I'm gonna start sobbing,
giving his athletic bona fides. Like back when I played, I had a great vertical jump. I was quicker than most of the opponents that I came up against. Like, he was going through that, like, yeah, you might call me a plumber, but I was a great athlete.
I was the best plumber. I was the best basketball playing plumber in our town. So I made it to the NBA.
What's great about the sound, too, that we didn't even play was in there, Jerry West was saying, and so, had a job during the summer. So he's basically saying that we were plumbers.
He was like, we couldn't train during the summer because we all have jobs to, earn an honest living. That's the point.
We didn't have Yelp. We couldn't just Google plumbers. We had to do that shit
not going to
ourselves.
snake itself.
And that's what I'm saying. Jerry West owned that. Admit it. You know how to unclog a toilet. I bet JJ Redick doesn't. I just called him JJ Reddit. I don't know how to unclog a toilet.
It is, but it is Jerry West. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Does Jerry West have any chance against JJ Reddit? Because he doesn't. You're so right. Like, he will lose to JJ Reddit as well.
JJ Reddit's the greatest basketball player to anyone who's under the age of 30. I mean,
Jerry West should get on Reddit and learn how to shit talk.
I'm going to sob. The end of this segment is going to be me sobbing. And I'm the guy who says, yeah, anybody today would strike out Babe Ruth 1,000 times. But Jerry West is a bridge too far for me. Like, I do agree that people would run today's athlete, that he would not know what to do with Antetokounmpo.
But if JJ Redick was guarding Jerry West, do you think JJ would lock him down? I mean,
no, come on.
Not today, no.
I'm with you.
Today's athlete would lock down Jerry West, who's now 83 years old.
JJ Redick wasn't a good defender.
No,
He's about his size. I think Jerry West would have JJ Redick.
Drop JJ Redick, this JJ Redick.
Yeah.
At some point in time when Jerry West was playing, and put him on him one-on-one.
He would not believe Redick's range.
Yeah, right.
I can't get around this guy.
That's a good shout. JJ Redick can be 30 feet from the basket. Where are you going?
West averaged 30 points a game for his career.
You don't have to shoot from that. He'd be shouting from the dead. You don't have to shoot from that far.
I thought that Jerry West was going to have the maximum disrespect that we were going to allow today by asking of JJ Redick, what did you do to determine games? But Jessica, you win. You have been maximum disrespectful.
What did I say again?
JJ Redick.
Jerry West has to care about his likes.
I'm just saying he should be meaner. Just
I mean, that clip was plenty mean. That clip was plenty mean. No, it could have been worse. It's basically big JJ Redick.
No,
what have you ever done?
That was a samurai sword. What Jerry West did. You're not giving Jerry West any credit for Hall of Fame credentials.
You got to do it while doing a TikTok dance.
You got to do it on social media.
Yeah, he's got to own the social media, Dan, and then I'll listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Older man in the 3. Start your own podcast.
It would be older man in the two.